And welcome to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. It's Wednesday, about 6 o'clock. We usually go for about a 6:05 first pitch here on the show. And yes, we will be back in the TV studio. July 22nd is the date. In fact, we could have went back as early as next week, but full disclosure, so you guys know out there, I will be taking a little bit of a vacation. We're going to get away, but if my wife will let me, I'm going to take my laptop and maybe do a quick version of the show on the road for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. But so next week I'll be on the road, but we will have some sort of version of the show. And then July 22nd, we will be back in the studio because we got a lot to talk about. We're trying to size up what the high school football season is going to look like for us here in the Inland Empire. We got word that minor league baseball is not going to be happening, which obviously affects the Quakes and the 66ers and the Storm. And we just saw the breaking news, and we shared it all over our social media platforms, that David Patrick, the head basketball coach at UC Riverside, who led them to a school record for wins in a season, got them to a postseason berth if we actually had a postseason tournament before the pandemic hit. He is going to Arkansas. He's going to be the associate head coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks alongside Eric Musselman, the former Nevada and NBA head coach. So, again, a lot going on. That's why we're going to continue the Inland Sports Show. But again, as we always do, talking a lot of high school football. Join us live on the show all the way from the Kook of Rancho Cucamonga. It is Los Osos head coach Alex Pierce. And Coach, I wanted to bring you on because there are some select schools out there who have started some summer workouts. And I wanted to bring you on and just see kind of what a summer workout looks like during this pretty wacky time that we're living through this pandemic. So you guys started summer workouts yesterday. So what does a summer workout look like right now for Los Osos?
Well, our superintendent had a Zoom meeting with all the extracurricular programs. I mean, band, sports. There was close to 200 people on. ASB, leadership, achievement, everything else, but all the extracurricular stuff, things that we could possibly start doing. And they kind of laid out a platform of a plan of things we need to do in order to get started so we can start seeing our kids again. I think that one of the great things about Chaffey Unified is that they try to teach the whole student and know how important extracurriculars are in high school. So I was very lucky in that aspect. I know there's a lot of coaches that are, biting at the bit to get out there, and then I'm lucky enough to go ahead and get started. Our superintendent put forth a plan to the San Bernardino County Supervisor Health, and it got approved. And so we're started with a very limited contact. The kids have to we have to take their temperatures every day. They had to sign a waiver about COVID, asking questions about if they've had any symptoms or been around anybody that has symptoms. We're limited on the size of groups that we can have. The kids have to be 6 feet apart all the time. We wear masks anytime they're not doing a physical activity. The kids have to bring in their own water bottles. We're not allowed to use a football. We can't use blocking sleds, anything that the kids would touch again. The coaches are spraying down the weight room, before and after practice and everything like that to make sure that's before each person comes in, each kid's assigned a rack, and they use that, and we spray it down beforehand. And then when they get done, we spray it down again before the next person goes in. So it's a lot lot of management doing and making sure the kids aren't cross contaminating and things like that.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned to you before that my daughter plays volleyball, and they've started practices, and the parents aren't allowed in the gym, but I still kind of peek my head in the door and kind of take a look. And, it kind of looks like a volleyball practice. It kind of looks a little bit different with the social distancing and whatnot. But how good was it just to kind of get back on the football field and at least have a resemblance of a football practice after months and months of basically, like all of us, in this holding pattern?
Yeah, I mean, it's just great to go on. We're going early in the morning. We go at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of going, attack the day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Try to get after it at 6 a.m. because it is a lot different. But I think the kids were kind of earning it to get out there and do something as a team, no matter how limited it was. It's good just to get out there and stretch together and be in lines and run sprints together and do that type of thing. Even though we're still apart, we can't run plays. We're not hitting sleds. We're not doing any of those things. I think it's just the camaraderie that we all kind of miss of getting to be with our players and players getting to be with coaches and then being with each other and things like that. So, honestly, football-wise, we're not putting in a lot of X's and O's and type like stuff like that. That's not what this time's about. This time's about, being together as a team and doing some conditioning stuff and things like that, but just really trying to kind of bond and stay together while we've had to be apart for so long.
Well, Coach, I know right now there's obviously a lot of questions, not a lot of answers on what the high school football season may look like. So I'm not going to ask you, when do you think it's going to start or anything like that? Because we really don't know. But how hard is it just as a high school head football coach to kind of game plan? Like, are we playing August 21st against San Gorgonio? Are we going to play our first game in January? Like, is it difficult to try to map out what the progression is of just getting ready for a season is right now?
Yeah, the season's completely different. Usually we start back, and even like with our training program, trying to peak towards the end of the season, we don't really know when that is. So we've kind of gotten away from, game planning and strategizing and putting things in. And it's, it's about, like I said, kind of being around the players, and we can't control that stuff. So, but I figure all we can control is what we can do right now. And that's basically kind of working out kind of like a dead period type deal where you can't have a football out, you can't do things, but we're no worse for wear than if we sit there and start now. And if they start in August, great. If they start in January, great. At least we've got some work in, and work never hurt anybody. We'll be better off one way or the other, whether we start in August or October or January or whatever it might be.
I was kind of trying to survey the landscape of other states, if they've had any high school football news. And I don't know if you saw this, but the state of Arizona said that they were going to. Well, they effectively pushed back the start of the school year, which is going to affect the football season, and they said they were going to postpone, I think it was like 1 to 3 non-league or non-conference games. But it sounds like they were planning to do football in the fall. Like, it might be a shorter season, but it looks like they were pushing forward to still get the season in the fall. I know CIF is going to make a decision on, I think by July 20th of what the calendar might look like for sports. I know safety obviously is the most important thing for you and your staff and the players. And but do you have a preference if we try to push forward in August, or if we wait till January, or is you just a good team player and whenever they give us that date, you'll just go forward with it?
I mean, I'll go for. I don't really have any say in the matter anyway. They'll, when they tell me to play, then we'll show up and we'll play. I think playing sometimes better than playing no time. That's for sure. I think there's, pros and cons to starting whenever there is. Obviously, safety is the most important thing. I know we've kind of had some spikes right now, but if you go in January, how do you work out all the field space and what sports you're going to go and what happens to multi-sport kids and multi-sport coaches? I have a bunch of coaches on my staff. They're also head track, basketball, softball coaches, things like that. So how do you work all those things out? I don't think there's a perfect answer, but I know there's a lot of people that are trying to come up with something so they can make sure the kids have a successful season one way or the other.
Coach, you must have read my mind. That was exactly where I was going because let's say the football season will start in January, just for the sake of this conversation right now. The multi-sport athletes, the multi-sport coaches, I think of things like maybe even transportation, like how many bus drivers and buses do you have?
Right.
And like you said, it could be soccer season, soccer and football inside the same stadium. Like, I just feel like logistically, hopefully there's a lot people who are, smarter than me trying to figure out what this is going to look like if that happened. But as an educator, as a coach, it sounds like you're already tapped into, the challenges of what that could look like.
Yeah, I've had, one of my assistant coaches is the head wrestling coaches. We're head wrestling coach. I have another assistant coach that's head track coach. I have another assistant coach that's a head softball coach. So all those things would be issues, and I really encourage multiple sport athletes. So that becomes hard. But with all that being said, I think if there's some way to let the kids at least choose, then at least they get to play some sports. Like I said, something's better than nothing. Is there a lot of issues? Absolutely. And hopefully we can, but come up with something that we're able to get a season in.
Well, let's talk a little football. Let's forget about the coronavirus just for a couple minutes here. And what do you like about this squad you got coming up this season at Los Osos?
Well, we have our Donovan Smith is a 3-year starter coming back for us. He's got a bunch of college offers and things like that, and great kid and where he works hard. We think he's only 1,200 to 1,500 yards away from breaking Richard Brehost's record, in passing and things like that. So he's a real deal. So I'm looking to see what we can move on from there. And I think we took some trying to be. I'm bringing on coaching Glima to come and be the defense coordinator this year. So I'm looking forward to see what we can do and turn around on the defense. And this will be my 4th year here. So all these kids now have known me for since they were freshmen. So that's an encouraging part of kind of putting my name on the program and see where we can go from here.
And Coach, I was kind of joking with you off the air. I was looking at the Los Osos schedule for this upcoming season, and I was like, oh, let me see some of those league games. And I'm like, the Citrus 4. Like,
right.
When did this happen? When did the Citrus 4 kind of come together?
Coach, I had no idea any of what was going on. We sat there and I got a message while I was in class, like, hey, we might be moving leagues. I'm like, what? I didn't even know we had anything going for leagues. And so we get, everything's kind of so screwy. And, like I said, that stuff's out of my control. And I'm looking forward to the league. I think it's a really good league. I think it's a tough league. We have a tough preseason, so it'll be interesting to see, if we do have a condensed season or things like that of what happens to that part. But, it's exciting. Change is good. Change is it's fun, and I think it's really good competition, and it's kind of go from there.
Well, Coach, finally, as we look ahead to what the high school football season, might look like this year, I hear from a lot of different people. I don't know if you noticed, I work for Riverside County Public Information, and we deal with the public health department and the officers a lot. And there's a case that you can make that, kids need to be out there. They need the social interaction. They need the physical activity. They need all those sorts of things. So I'm not trying to make a medical case on why we should play football, but man, I just feel like, football is just kind of part of the fabric of the Inland Empire. I think it would be, it's just part of what we do and who we are, and it's followed by so many. As a football coach, I mean, can you make a case that we need football? Like, I think football can help kind of bring us together and also give the kids an outlet.
Well, I think it brings kids together. It's kind of a connection to the school. I mean, I don't think there's, at least speaking for me, and again, I'm a football guy. When I was going from 8th grade, I wasn't looking forward to 9th grade necessary academic classes. It was the extracurricular activities. It was football and things like that. And so I think if you have football, and then you bring on cheerleading, and then on Friday nights there's a couple thousand people in the stands, and we have a great student section, and all that kind of stuff is what kind of brings people to high schools and gets them involved, and that leads to better academic success. Having that connection to your teachers, having the connection to your coaches and to your school and things like that. And so, I mean, I think it's important not only bring back football, but we bring back all their extracurricular activities. We have a great band at Los Osos. We have a great theater department at Los Osos. There's a lot of great things going on at the school that people are allowed to connect to, And so I think all those things are important. And, in the fall, football is kind of the focal point. That's where everybody kind of looks forward to, coming back to homecoming games and doing that type of things. Like I said, a lot of people show up to our games, and, it's just fun. It kind of brings it up, and that, for a lot of kids, that's why it's and kind of speaking from my own experience, like okay, that's why I'm going to do my English homework. That's why I'm going to do my math homework, so I can be football. But for me, it's football. For other kids, it might be so I can be in a play, or so I can be in band, or so I can be in leadership. That's why I think all those extracurricular things are really important.
I think you make an excellent case, for sports in general, for extracurricular activities, for drama, for band, all those sorts of things, and hopefully we can safely do that and bring the kids back on campus. So, Coach, I want to say I applaud you. I applaud your administration and the school district for finding a safe way to at least get the kids back out there, even if it's social distancing and it's basically looking like a big cardio class and having them run around or whatever,
right.
But I mean, just to get them back out there under the sun and together and running and getting some physical activity in, I mean, and you guys can, do it safely. I think you guys are doing a great job. That's why I wanted to bring you on and say good job and, to you, your AD, the principal, the school districts. I know there's a lot of schools who they're just kind of stuck in the mud. They don't have a lot of direction and they haven't done too much, but you guys I feel like you're doing a good thing.
I'm very lucky being in the district. And like I said, with our superintendent having the Zoom meeting with all the stakeholders, with everybody, it wasn't just a sports thing. It was, achievement and, like I said, all the other extracurricular activities of really trying to do something that's best for the kids, even though it took some outside the box thinking and some, questions. And, it took a while to develop this plan. And so I'm happy with it. Seems like the kids are happy with it. And, I'm looking forward to seeing them a few days a week and getting after it a little bit,
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. It's always good talking to you, and I just thought it was pretty cool that you guys are doing some summer workouts right now. So who knows what the future will hold, but for right now, you guys can enjoy those workouts together as a team until we find out what the season, when the season might start and what it might look like. So, Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Alex Pierce, head football coach at Losos. Join us here on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back, we'll talk some more high school football. We're also going to have Martin Dusold on. He's the athletic director at Beaumont High School, and get his take on what's going on here as well. We'll be back with more Inland Sports Show right after this.
From Spoiled in Riverside. Just opened up our new location off the 91 in Arlington and Riverside. Come check us out and get spoiled for a change.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools.
I'm in a commercial break
and
right now for about another 2 minutes.
The fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them
all
as
things
well.
considered, I'm actually doing pretty well.
We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
Yeah, you know what's funny is we've done a couple other Zoom interviews on the show where
I always tell my student athletes that hey, games are games. It's everyone's where they're at, and all you have to worry about is making those small improvements. I see I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I see kids who start off slow and they end up being really good and talented student athletes, and I see others who start off really fast and they end up petering out. And a lot of that has to do with, the hype of being a young student athlete and having all this shine, all this glory, and then you stop working. So, and I hate that. I feel like that's one of the things as a coach you have to really hammer into your athletes that, it's a journey, and starting in high school or even making it to college, it's just all part of the journey, but not the destination. Destination is growth. Destination is to keep moving forward. What I do want to see is I want to see them grow. I want to see them grow academically. I want to see them grow physically. And as long as we get that growth, they're gonna, they're gonna see some change. They're gonna be better off than where they were, and that's gonna set them on a good path, athletically and academically throughout life. If you think you're ready to grow, if you think you're ready to move out of your comfort zone, then come train here at Boost. Because I tell you right now, it's not a place to be comfortable. We're gonna push you. We're gonna help you grow. But if you think you're ready for it, come check us out.
Yeah, because there was a lot of Riverside schools that were planning on July 6th. That was their date. They were gonna go back. A lot of Riverside.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona.
Yes, sir.
Mike's Fitness Equipment. Check out the new storeroom on La Cadena. Quality fitness equipment at affordable prices. Mike's Fitness Equipment. And JoJo's Grill-A-Dog, located in the Mountain Grove Shopping Center in Redlands. Let's be frank, not all dogs are created equal. JoJo's Grill-A-Dog.
The conditioning part was going to be a struggle, man.
Welcome back to the Mike's Fitness Equipment studio.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. Big thanks to Alex Pierce, football coach at Losos. We'll go way back with him. Well, at least I think 2011 when I first met him at Carter High School back in the day. But good to have him on the show. Now join us, one of my favorite guys in the entire world. He is the athletic director at Beaumont High School, Mr. Martin Dusold. And Martin, man, you are an athletic director, and I don't envy the challenges and just the kind of maybe the workload that an athletic director might have going forward, because I just feel like you have to game plan for a bunch of different scenarios on what a high school sports season might look like. Is there just a lot on your plate right now?
Well, I think over the last 2 or 3 weeks, our goal was to work with our athletic training staff and sports medicine department and be able to put together a return to participation plan. So we had worked with the National Federation of High Schools document, the CIF document, and had put together a good set of steps to make sure that we were addressing not only the health and safety aspect, but also the return to conditioning in a gradual manner, hydration, all of those different pieces, heat acclimatization, especially out here in Riverside County. So we felt really good about all of that. And so we had passed that on to our district administration. And with where we're at as a county right now, with the county public health officer's comments and work he's doing with RCOE, we just know that right now we're in a shutdown and we're kind of holding. So it's definitely been frustrating for the kids and the coaches, and that's tough to see, but that is where we're at.
Now, I know the CIF state office on July 20th, they're hoping to make an announcement either on that day or by then, I should say, by the 20th on the kind of the direction of what the sports calendar might look like. For your fall sports coaches, because fall sports are on the clock, I mean, they're right around the corner now. Do you just tell them, hey, be ready to just step on the gas if we get the green light, and have pieces in place that, just get up and go? Or, there could be a scenario where we're still waiting for a couple more months. I mean, I guess either way could still happen here.
You're right. It really is information that is changing on a day-to-day basis. And we understand that. I think we really had some high hopes kind of getting into July and maybe past the 4th of July weekend, that there might be an opportunity to return to conditioning. And unfortunately with the governor's announcements today, and, our county health officer has done a really good job of trying to keep all of the school districts informed, and it's just not going to happen right now. So yes, the fall coaches, they are all ready to rock, and they're ready to go. We feel like our guidelines on the school site are really solid, and that's going to be available for us whenever we are told that schools can resume these very important activities for our students.
Are you a Zoom expert by now?
Yes. I think so. I can do rooms and everything else. Man, it's fantastic. I've got skills that I did not think I was going to have to manufacture here over the last 3 months.
I did want to ask you too. It's exciting that Beaumont's moving to the Citrus Belt League, and that's kind of getting lost with all this other obviously serious news taking place right now. But how excited are you to see Beaumont move to the CBL and compete with some pretty good teams?
Yeah, we're very excited. We've formed a lot of great relationships with each of those schools, and personally knowing those athletic directors, it's just. We feel very, very fortunate that was the direction, of the boat in the last re-leaguing, just because, we feel like we have established those relationships over the last 4 to 6 years, knowing that we were not going to slow our growth out here in our community. So that is a prestigious league. It is the most prestigious league, I believe, in the Inland Empire. Its history and the roots it has to so many great student athletes, coaches, and administrators over the years is, I feel, a real blessing for Beaumont to have that opportunity to go in and compete on that league level with those fine schools.
Yeah, the Citrus Belt League, I mean, you could pick whatever sport, and they're going to have some great programs, some great coaches. And they're always ultra competitive, so it's pretty exciting. And then I don't know, at least proximity wise, I would think maybe Beaumont and Yucaipa seem like natural rivals, or a rivalry could be there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that we have a really friendly rivalry in most sports. There's certainly some that they have excelled in over the years that we may not have seen them as much in non-league or tournament competition. So we're looking forward to that as well. But Matt Carpenter over at Yucaipa does a great job, and our student athletes really know each other because the communities are so close, and they play a variety of club and travel sports together. So we're really excited about that. We're 10 minutes apart, and we're going to be another, 10 minutes down the freeway to the 3 Redlands schools. So we're excited transportation-wise.
I should point out, though, the Mountain Pass League for football the last couple of years has been like one of my favorite football leagues to follow, because there were just so many great battles, and there was so many of those teams were having success, including Beaumont. So I love the Mountain Pass, but man, CBL will be a lot of fun to watch this season. When that season will be, that's the big $1 million question, I guess.
It is
right now. So, Martin, I appreciate the time. I love your opinion. I love your take coming from an athletic director about obviously the safety of the student athletes and your coaches. That's paramount. But if we can find a safe way to bring everybody back and get that competition again, I think that'd be really cool to see. So we'll see what kind of direction we get from public health officials and, of course, from the CIF. And still playing the waiting game. Nothing's really changed, I guess, in the last couple of months.
Yeah, unfortunately it hasn't, and we're really looking forward to that, because we really feel at this point now that physical health as well as the mental health of students being away from school, away from their coaching staffs this long is really, really tough on them. And so we're really looking forward to getting back with our student athletes and having the opportunity to just, help them kind of return in a positive manner. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's Martin Dusold, the athletic director at Beaumont High School, here joining us on the Inland Sports Show. Martin, always appreciate the time, and hopefully the next time we talk, we'll talk about Beaumont versus Rev football or something like that.
Yes.
We actually have some real games or something.
Looking forward to it, Pep. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be right back with more Inland Sports Show right after this.
So with our school program, it's called BASS, the Boost Alternative School for Student Athletes. We've had our school for about 3 years now. We're going to be opening up enrollment for the 2020-2021 school year. And if you really want to get involved, it's all referral based. You either have to come speak with us directly, or if you know someone who's currently in the program. But it's a great program. It's all the meat and potatoes of just your rigorous academic program and a complete collegiate strength and speed development program as well. It's a real collegiate vibe. It challenges the kids. It's not an easy program by any means, but we've had a lot of growth with our student athletes as they move on to high school, whether they're going to a public school or private school. It's a program that really prepares you, not just academically, but physically for the next level.
I would say the one thing that we stress more than anything else is service to our customer. Make sure that they're taking care of whatever you can do to make sure that that order gets to them on time and it's the right quality and what they want. I've been that way since 1976. That was my goal, to reach out to local sports programs, and it's grown from there, and we've been very, very fortunate. My grandson is right over here. He's working for us, and he's going to college right now, and that's exactly what my son did 20-some years ago, and it keeps on going, And we have customers that come in the store that it's amazing. People that I haven't been here since I was a little kid, and I used to come in here all the time, and then now I'm bringing my son in here, or a grandpa that's bringing his grandson in here that came in here when we first opened back in '76. We just feel so fortunate to have been a part of this community and this Inland Empire for going into our 44th year now, and it's just been a blessing.
what's up, everybody? Don't forget, there's 2 Spoiled locations now. I'm at the brand new one right off the 91 freeway at Arlington. You can spoil yourself. You can spoil your car. You come in here, 10 minutes, you're in and you're out. You're back on the road. Go check out Spoiled, local business, locally owned and operated. And they've got the location off the 215 freeway at Alessandro. And this one, the brand new one here, half of the 91 at Arlington.
I felt spoiled. It was great. I got in easy. I mean, the price was the best. The price is just helped me out. And what I really enjoyed about it is that they explained to me what was going on today. And I feel like when I walked out of here, I just felt so special. I said I had a new boyfriend. His name is Spoiled.
You got your flower.
And I got
yeah.
flower.
Welcome back to the Mike's Fitness Equipment Studio. It's the Inland Sports Show.
So with our school program, it's called BASS, the Boost Alternative School for Student Athletes. We've had our school for about 3 years now. We're going to be opening up enrollment for the 2020-2021 school year. And if you really want to get involved, it's all referral based. You either have to come speak with us directly, or if you know someone who's currently in the program. But it's a great program. It's all the meat and potatoes of just your rigorous academic program and a complete collegiate strength and speed development program as well. It's a real collegiate vibe. It challenges the kids. It's not an easy program by any means, but we've had a lot of growth with our student athletes as they move on to high school, whether they're going to a public school or private school. It's a program that really prepares you, not just academically, but physically for the next level.
I would say the one thing that we stress more than anything else is service to our customer. Make sure that they're taking care of whatever you can do to make sure that that order gets to them on time and it's the right quality and what they want. I've been that way since 1976. That was my goal, to reach out to local sports programs, and it's grown from there, and we've been very, very fortunate. My grandson is right over here. He's working for us, and he's going to college right now, and that's exactly what my son did 20-some years ago, and it keeps on going, you know. And we have customers that come in the store that it's amazing. People that I haven't been here since I was a little kid, and I used to come in here all the time, and then now I'm bringing my son in here, or a grandpa that's bringing his grandson in here that came in here when we first opened back in '76. We just feel so fortunate to have been a part of this community and this Inland Empire for going into our 44th year now, and it's just been a blessing.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. It's 6:40 on a Wednesday night. We're live right now on Inland Sports Twitter. Make sure you give us a follow, and then we will re-air, we will premiere the same show a little bit later tonight on YouTube. And again, if you're just joining us, July 22nd is our target date to move back into the television studio at Teen Vision TV 16 with Johnny Nunez and his entire team. So we can't wait to do that. As much as I love being here at home, we want to be back in the studio as well. So we'll be doing that in just a couple of weeks. All right. We told you that right now, California Baptist University has the date of July 12th of when basketball student athletes can return to campus and they will begin practicing again. Now, again, like everything right now, it's fluid, it's changing. You have to be flexible. But right now, July 12th is that date when CBU is hoping to start basketball practices again. We had a chance to catch up with head coach Jarrod Olson to get his thoughts on, what the upcoming season might look like, what will practices look like at CBU, and he had a great team last year. It took its toll with injuries early on. But they still were able to finish out over 500, had a lot of success down the stretch, and they played some really good games early on. Nearly knocked off Stanford when they were one of the top teams in the country. Started out 8-0, so a lot of promise on last year's team, a lot of promise on the horizon for next year's team. Here is head coach Jarrod Olson. And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. Again, we're live and amplified every single Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, streaming live on Twitter, and then tape delayed for our YouTube audience a little bit later in the evening. But as you know, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot of high school football, a lot of local teams, and how they might be able to modify practices if the season starts on time. And there's so many questions, not a lot of answers at this point, but we always love to check in with our friends over at California Baptist. And of course, basketball season, we pretty much got it in. We didn't get to see maybe a postseason game or so at the arena as we were getting close. But join us here on the show. He is the head coach for the women's basketball team at CBU, Jarrod Olson. And Coach, I love to ask everyone, how they found out the news that we were going into this quarantine and everyone was going to have to stay at home. I know some teams we talked to Gary Adcock, they were playing games. I know you were just wrapping up the season. So how did you kind of find out how, when all the dust settled that, we're kind of going to hunker down for a little bit?
I mean, I think it was a little gradual, just like with everybody, but I think the moment that really sticks out to me was when the NBA shut things down. And to me, the NBA is pretty progressive and they're pretty forward thinking. And, when they decided they were going to shut some things down, I was just like, whoa, this is like a real deal. And it wasn't too far after that, the colleges started following suit. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, hey, because our kids, we have 3 small kids. We have 5, 7, and 9. And I was like, honey, they're just not going to be in school. I mean, and she just kept arguing. No, they're going to be. I'm like, going to be in school. And then sure, it was like one of the few times I got to be right, like a couple of days later, they shut school down, and it's just been a little crazy ever since.
Well, Coach, I forget the exact date. I want to say it was about March 11th or so. That was the last time we did a live show back in the TV studio. And in fact, we had Dejon Davis from the CBU men's basketball team on the show that night. And we were talking about the potential of March, I think it was 17th, if my dates are lining up correctly, that the men's team might be hosting some sort of a postseason game. And that was the same night that the NBA shut things down. And I thought it's kind of the same thing like your wife. I'm like, well, they're not really going to shut down the NBA. Like, they're not going to really shut down the schools. Like, I mean, this is a serious thing. Don't get me wrong. But, like, they're not going to really shut down all these sports and schools and all this. And days later, sure enough, it all came tumbling down.
Yeah, it's just one of the craziest things. Obviously, most of us have not lived long enough to see anything like this, previously. And I mean, the best line that I've heard the whole shutdown was my son. He's 9. He said, "Dad, I never thought it would be so boring living through a historical event." that's the story of it right there.
It is, and I'm hoping and praying that, we'll get 30, 40, 50 years from now and we'll be like, man, remember 2020?
Yeah.
Like, remember the pandemic? Like, that was crazy. And, we're past it and we've completely rebounded and all that. Your son's already very wise at a very young age. But, Coach, you basically got the season in. And, I was blessed to have a front row seat to pretty much all your home games, at least a good chunk of them. And I would say from the very beginning, you knew this was going to be a really good squad, and then injuries kind of took its toll. You still had a great year, and you had some great performances, but I always think in the back of my mind, man, if you guys were at full strength, this could have been a really special squad. Not taking anything away with what the team did this year, but it could have been so much better, right?
I mean, that's clearly a very fair assessment. I mean, we started the year, I think we were like 8-0 or something like that. We had our first loss of the season was against Stanford, who was number 1 in the country at the time. And we had them. I mean, it was like maybe like a 1-point game with about 1:20 to go. We got called for a moving screen. So, I mean, we're like that close to beating the number 1 team in the country. Caitlin Harper had torn her ACL like 2 days before, or a couple days before. And that was kind of like where the things just kind of tipped. We started the year off with Brittany Thomas, who's our best player, who she never even played with an Achilles injury. And Caitlin had stepped in and kind of like, was giving us, just about everything Brittany could give us. And we kind of felt like, all right, we can kind of get this thing going. And we did, and then when Caitlin hurt her knee, things just kind of fell apart for a little bit. But that's kind of misleading too, because it wasn't like it fell apart and we were getting killed. We were in every game. We just had a hard time closing things out. And then, we kind of got things together and finished the year really strong. We won, 3 in a row. I can't remember what it was, like something like 4 to 5 or something like that. And, and then we actually were in conversations for WBI postseason stuff. And then the virus hit. And, it's just kind of it was probably the craziest year I've ever been a part of. I think we only had 2 players that suited up for us that suited up every game. DeLacy Brown, a Riverside kid, and then Sydney Palma. They were the only 2 people that suited up every game. And I mean, that's insane. We had 15 people on the roster to start the year, everyone missed time for something or other. And yeah, we survived. We got through it. We had a winning record. And yeah, we're pretty excited for next year, though.
Well, Brittany Thomas and Caitlin Harper are studs, but I got to give a shout out to Lexi Ram and Tiana Afu, because they had to make up for their absence in the post. And I know Lexi Ram's a great 3-point shooter, but she would, her or Afu would normally lead the team in rebounds, in those games, having to play in the post.
It was funny for Lexi because she ended up playing 5 quite a bit at the end of the year. And when she started out as a freshman, we had a similar situation where all of our post players were hurt. And she ended up playing, literally her first game ever as a Lancer, we were on a foreign trip to Taiwan, and she started for us at the 5. And then really we played like 1 or 2 other games of that and never played it again until her senior year, the last 7 games. And so kind of nice full circle for her, but like her on the 3-point line, shooting the threes as opposed to like trying to mix it up down low.
Coach, speaking of Lexi Ram and being able to do a lot of things on the court, we talk about the current state of basketball where it's kind of positionless. I think that's the kind of term they want to use, is positionless, that players got to be able to, post up and handle the basketball and shoot and basically do everything on the floor. As you go out there and recruit, do you look for a player that can play 1 through 5, or do you try to, fill in spots at specific positions?
I mean, we're always just trying to get the best players we can get. We haven't been real specific position-wise, since I've been at CBU. I mean, obviously it's nice to have somebody like Brittany Thomas that can just grab every rebound and can kind of patrol the paint for you on defense. But we've played a lot of really small lineups. In our best Division II years, we played multiple point guards at the same time and would often play 5 guards or maybe 4 guards in a post. So that's been pretty normal for us. But when we're out there recruiting, we're just trying to get the best kids we can get. And we usually think we're smart enough that we can kind of figure it out if we've got good players, because the good players make us look like we're pretty smart.
Well, speaking of great players, I mean, you should have a pretty good squad coming back for next season. Are you hopeful and optimistic what this team might be able to accomplish come next season?
I mean, I think hopeful is a good word. I mean, we've got a lot of question marks. You know, our Caitlin and Brittany will both be coming off serious injuries. Ani Olaita, our point guard, like, I mean, she's from Spain. Like, currently she can't even get in the country because there's a travel ban. We have one of our best recruits is from France. She's in the similar boat. We got a bunch of Australian kids that we're kind of working through some things to get them in the country as well. You know, so we've got probably a lot more questions now than answers, but there certainly is a scenario where all those people are at CBU, which I think is fairly likely, but they're all at CBU, we're all healthy, and things look really good. But, you know, as everyone knows, things don't usually go as planned. I think the key thing for us is going to be flexibility. And I think we're going to have more depth than usual, which will be good. And we're just going to have to be flexible, to kind of pivot at a moment's notice and just kind of see what we can do with people who are there and who are healthy.
Coach, what would you normally be doing this time of year? Is this like an open recruiting window? I mean, what could you be doing right now?
Yeah, so we'd probably just be finishing up camp stuff, and then next week I'd probably be headed out for it's about a 10 or 11 day window usually that starts it out, where you're grinding it at, you know, different gyms all across the country, watching club teams play. You know, and we'd be spending a lot of time doing that. Then there's a short break, and we come right back and do another window. You know, and so it's really weird because we just haven't been able to do a lot of those things, you know, as we normally do them. And we've just had to be creative and trying to figure out like how we can do some similar things. We've watched a lot of video of players, probably watched way too much video and done way too many Zoom calls, just like everybody else. You know, everybody else just had to make adjustments too. But yeah, it's definitely strange because, I mean, there were no camps at CBU in June, which is, you know, that hurts kids in the IE, right? I mean, the pro in particular has just killed it with camps and has about 250 to 300 kids every week, you know, and that's a big void, you know, that, you know, my kids feel it. They go to that camp as well, and they have a great time. I get endless questions about why we can't go to camp and eat in the cafeteria, which they talk more about the basketball side of it. But yeah, it's just been really strange. We're not going to be able to recruit in July either. You know, but that's just kind of how it goes, you know, and we're trying to be creative and find the right things to do to give ourselves the best chance to get the right players.
And Coach, finally, you know, we've seen this date of July 12th as the date where, you know, CBU basketball players can return to campus and hopefully have some workouts on campus as well. Do you feel confident about July 12th? And what could a workout look like considering the kind of times that we're living in right now?
I mean, I think I would use the word hopeful again. You know, everything is kind of like, you know, we're pushing towards that July 12th date. But, I mean, just as the rest of society, I mean, we just have to be ready to switch gears when it's required. You know, and we're going to do everything we can to get the kids on campus, but we're not going to risk anything. You know, we're not going to put those guys at risk, you know, health-wise. We want to make sure it's a safe environment. I mean, and because we really do care about them as people, and we need to view them as people first, athletes second. In terms of like what a workout would look like, I mean, I think anything is possible at this. I mean, I've heard things, you know, might be able to have 10 people in there. You might only be able to get 1 or 2. And, you know, I've started to kind of like, if we only have 10, who's not going to be, you know, we're going to have to do it in groups. Who's going to go with what group? And it's just everything's in play at this point. I think we're all just trying to kind of work through it and be as creative as we can while still, like, you know, putting the students first and giving them the experience that they want, even though it's going to be different. Yeah, I think that's the one thing we've been really impressing on them. Is CBU is going to look a little bit different for you, you know, because there's going to be different measures in place, just like the grocery store looks a little bit different. That doesn't mean it can't still be a great experience for them. I mean, CBU is still going to be a great place, but, you know, we just got to make sure it's safe, and we got to, you know, just continue to hope and work to get them back there.
Well, Coach, I always appreciate the time. It was a lot of fun covering you guys last season, and I'm hopeful. I think that's the word right now. I'm hopeful.
Hopeful is good.
To see you guys on the floor next year, because I think you're going to have a pretty special squad if everything comes together.
We're looking forward to it, and I hope we get to see you at the Event Center pretty soon, Pep.
All right, that's Jarrod Olson, head coach, CBU women's basketball here on the Inland Sports Show. All right, a big thanks to head coach Jarrod Olson from CBU women's basketball, and again, Alex Pierce, the head football coach at Losos High School, as the Grizzlies started summer workouts yesterday, and Martin Dusold, the athletic director at Beaumont High School, who again is having to navigate some pretty wacky times because we don't know necessarily, at least in Riverside County, when teams can start practicing and when that sports calendar will start. So, for example, the fall sports, will they actually be in the fall? And if they are in the fall, are we going to play an entire season, or could it be condensed? So there's a lot on the plate right now of not only coaches, but the athletic directors, principals, school administration, school districts. There's a lot going on, and we will get more guidance from our county public health officials as well as CIF on what the season might look like. Well, my name is Pep Fernandez. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're just joining us, a couple big things happening. Minor League Baseball canceling their season, so